Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how we doing?
Fantastic. Doing better, Metcalf. It's been a minute. Everyone should hear the excitement in our voices. It's been a minute since we did a peer review.
Yeah.
And when you texted me that glorious text the other day, I was like, hell yeah, roll tide. We haven't done this in a minute. So I'm excited for this one. I got a little spicy. Think you're going to get pretty angry at some of these picks, but I'm excited to be here. How you doing?
Hanging in there, battling a cold. So if I sniff or blow my nose or disappear from camera to blow my nose, so you don't all have to see and or hear that, don't worry. I'll be back in 10 seconds, but apologies in advance for any of that. But I'm excited for this one.
Flu game basically for you. So no big deal.
And now I have an excuse to, if people really hate some of my picks, I'm sick. What am I supposed to do? It wasn't me. It was the illness.
That was a good play by you. Chess, not checkers.
I might have to pull that into the rotation a little more frequently. I'm excited for this one though, because in case you missed it, over at NoCeilingsNBA.com, we publish our most recent, I think, version 3 consensus mock draft. So if you are looking for the official No Ceilings mock draft, go over to NoCeilingsNBA.com. Link is also in the description for your convenience. But this is just an exercise where Rucker and we each construct our own top 30 picks, and we'll run through it 5 picks at a time, provide our likes, our dislikes, our critiques, all that kind of stuff. But again, I cannot stress this enough. This is an exercise where it's just our 2 individual thoughts, not the consensus No Ceilings team thoughts. Go to the website to find those. Have I covered the bases?
I think it's important to point out that this is not the No Ceilings team mock draft. No, it's funny because it's just like we have to keep saying it because it's like, guys, this is just me and Metcalf having fun. This isn't the official one.
It's a thought exercise. It's bouncing ideas off each other because, in that group thing, the group mock draft, there were picks that we voted for and voted against and didn't agree on, and it happens. But
there's a lot of picks I didn't agree on in the top 10, and it's completely fine. That's how the process goes. That's why it's fair, because we all vote, we talk about it. Some picks we talk about for 20 minutes and it's like, okay, it's like enough, let's go to a vote. Some picks are pretty quick in consensus, but I think I like doing this exercise with you because if there's a pick or projection I really like in my heart, and then I feel like me and you just talk back and forth about it, I go, okay, maybe I am a little crazy on this one. Or, maybe you're like, oh, I should have fought a little harder during that exercise. So I liked how the consensus one on the site turned out, but
yeah, agreed.
Always fun with this one because you got to open your mind a little bit to some curveballs. We always get curveballs. We get wild cards on draft night, and I think it's fun to kind of open the box a little bit on right this time of the year. Be like, hey, let's get a little crazy. Why couldn't this name climb up? Why couldn't he go this early? So this is a fun one. I love doing this.
And if you're curious to see how those discussions go and how heated or how easy some of them are, No Ceilings Plus subscribers, head on over to the site and our video will be up there. Had some technical difficulties, so the last 15 to 20 picks got cut off. Apologies, but typically all 60 are in there. And it's a really fun time. Also, No Ceilings Plus subscribers get access to exclusive articles like my in-person scouting notes from our live attending games, and plus other articles, our private Discord, a whole bunch of good stuff. I think that's bases covered. Should we just dive in?
Yeah, go for it. Let's hear it.
Alrighty. So using today's Tankathon order, and I went over to our friends at Fanspo to kind of construct this mock draft, at least on my end, and was able to then auto draft the final 30 picks. And I kind of like some of what came up there, but the order I have is Wizards at 1, Pelicans at 2, Raptors at 3, Hornets at 4, Jazz at 5. First 5 picks, I went Cooper Flagg to the Wizards, Dylan Harper to the Pelicans, Ace Bailey to the Raptors, Kasparas Yakashonis to the Hornets, and Yegor Demon to the Jazz.
Wow. We almost went 5 for 5.
Okay.
And I promise everyone, we never ever share.
No.
Because we like to yell at each other during this episode. Like, this is the episode me and Metcalf get to tell each other that we're idiots, although we do that all the time. I went Cooper Flagg to the Wizards. New Orleans Pelicans, Dylan Harper. By the way, if it's draft night, those are the first 2 picks, and they take the whole clock, I'm gonna snap. Like those are very quick picks.
Gotta listen to trades.
Yeah.
Gotta shop them.
I went Ace Bailey at 3 to the Raptors, Kasparis Yakachonis to the Hornets, and Trey Johnson
Okay.
to the Jazz. I didn't hesitate as long as I thought with Toronto.
Same.
I kind of was like dancing with Ace or Kasparis, and then I was like, I would dare that front office to pass up the physical. Like they just go for this. They go for Ace Bailey's. Like this is the yes.
It's the home run swing. It's a 6'10" athlete, off-ball scorer, shot maker. They have decision makers. They have playmakers. They have guys who can distribute. They don't have that.
They've got Grady Dick. They add Ace Bailey, another dangerous scorer. Like it makes a lot of sense to me. I think it would be either of those names would make sense. What do you think about Utah at 5?
So that was one of the very few picks where I went with what I think would happen and not so much what I would do. I think if Yegor's there when the draft pick, I would be, assuming they're not in the top 2 or maybe 3, I'd be really, really surprised if they didn't take him, just given the BYU connections with Ryan Smith and all of that kind of stuff. Fit-wise, I think he makes a lot of sense too. Jumbo playmaker, really high-level distributor. His playmaking is incredible every single game. The scoring, I have some major questions about, but in terms of putting guys in position to get easy buckets, there aren't many who are kind of at his level in this draft.
Still extremely young. His body's got to fill out. I think he's getting a lot of hate right now, and the hate maybe is wrong. No, there's some hate. There's some aggressive hate, and I think it's not fair. You box score watched the last couple games, and he had that injury. He was out for a while. He's coming back now, getting thrown into the fire with conference play. I think conference play was always going to be something we had to be patient about. And his last game, you see a couple of those box scores, you're like, "Oh, it's a shot." And then I watched the Tech game, and the playmaking's starting to look like we saw in the beginning of the year. He's making some reads. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So it'd be really cool if the shot starts coming around. I mean, he's 6'9".
Yeah.
Like I need everyone, like everyone's like, well, he's 6'9". And I think a lot of people are freaking out about the creation. And it's just like, well, you're 6'9". So everyone that's trying to guard you when you're in the backcourt is smaller. And he has playmaking that, like, I think he's a better athlete than Giddey was. A lot of people are throwing out the Josh Giddey comp. I think the shot looks better than Giddey's was for where it's at right now. You got to be patient. It would make a lot of sense if he went to Utah, because they're probably just going to be just take as much talent as we can get and we'll figure it out. But I just kind of like to switch it up a little bit. I thought Trey might be an interesting piece there.
He was a name that came up for me.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned with the kind of overlap with him and Keontae and whether or not there'd be, enough traditional playmaking kind of in the backcourt with those two. Scoring wise would be fun, but
yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that was one I kind of struggled with. Anything else on that top 5? Anyone else that may have snuck in there for you, or do you want, or you good to move on?
I'm good to move on.
All right,
it's gonna get spicy. I'm warning you, it's gonna get spicy. Not gonna like this.
All right, 6 through 10. Yes, it's about to.
It's going to get spicy.
At 6, the Brooklyn Nets, I had Jeremiah Fears. At 7, the Portland Trail Blazers, I had Asa Newell. At 8, the Oklahoma City Thunder, I had Derek Queen. At 9, the Houston Rockets, I had Trey Johnson. And at 10, the Chicago Bulls, I had Thomas Sorber.
At 6, for the Brooklyn Nets, I had, oh my gosh, wait a second.
Oh, you just ran over.
Sorry,
that one,
huh? I really did. Okay, sorry, folks. Let me focus, and we'll talk. 6, I had Jeremiah Fears to the Brooklyn Nets. 7, I went VJ Edgecombe to Portland Trailblazers. I'll get an angry DM about that. I already know it. Derek Queen to the Thunder at 8. I went Liam McNeely to the Rockets at 9, and Yegor Dimon to the Bulls.
Okay.
guess I'm giving them the Giddy Mania. 10 was a little struggle for me because I kind of just went, what direction would they go? Or do they even know where they'd go? Do you kind of just add talent and go for it? I actually thought of maybe Seraph there. Might be even like a better fit. Wow. The Bulls and the Blazers every year piss me off right now. I have no idea what they should or what they want to do because the roster always is just like an island of misfit toys. And I'm like, well, what? Okay, let's just keep going BPA. And then eventually it's like, well, you have to do something to clear up the vision. Go ahead. We got thoughts in this range. Really proud of you for Fears at 6. I thought I was getting.
For me, that felt like the biggest kind of home run swing.
Yeah.
I know these last couple games haven't been the most impressive, but I think they're the first 2 games where he's faced really high level competition where he was the number one with a bullet on the opposing team's scouting report. And as a kid who's still has a long way to go in terms of muscle and strength and who should still be in high school, I came away more encouraged than the numbers would suggest with his games against Alabama and Texas A&M, where I thought he still played with that physicality, especially against A&M. It felt like he's like, oh, okay, this is how you're defending me. This is how I'm going to kind of counter that a little bit. The defensive stuff, I'm not too worried about it. The steal rate is like, last I checked, it was over 4. It may have dropped since then, but even if it just dropped a little bit, really, really good level for that to be at. I think he moves his feet well. I think he plays physical, but he does what the vast majority of freshmen, especially those who have to create everything on offense, do. And that's kind of struggle to finish off plays where he'll slide his feet, be with the guy for 8 out of the 9 dribbles. And then that last dribble, the guy turns the corner on him and gets a scoop layup or something like that. I think long-term that's correctable. That's fixable. Especially once he gets a little stronger. He's not a great defender, but I'm not worried about it, especially given everything we're seeing on offense in terms of shot creation and foul drawing and playmaking.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes this high come draft night. He's the biggest swing prospect right now in this class. I could see him creeping into that top 5 because he's going to have a lot of stuff on his side when it comes to his age. He reclassified, the way he plays. I think his defense is good. I heard people say opposite. I couldn't disagree more. There's just a lot of stuff with his game that is like well beyond where he should be as a guard at that size, his age. Obviously, measurements will come down and be like very crucial, but
I'm fascinated to see what his actual height ends up being. I think he has a good frame, but a little skeptical about the actual 6'4".
If it's 6'4", at least it's going to be like, oh crap! Yeah. Like that'll be a big one that we're circling on our list for combine days. like, is this actually going to be there?
I'm leaning a little more towards like 6'2.5" ish.
He's going to probably be annoyingly like 6'2.5" without shoes. People are going to freak out, and then we're going to be like, well, with shoes, it's going to be like 6'3.25". Whatever. It's my favorite argument ever is when people are like, well, without shoes. And I'm like, do they play the game of basketball with or without shoes? Anyways, I'm a big fan, Metcalf. I would not be shocked if he ends up going that high. Any other thoughts on Fears?
No.
I had one and I got distracted, but it's okay. We'll come back around to that one. This was my thought. I need everyone to calm down with like, hey, he struggled to start conference play. He's supposed to. This is normal. Like you were supposed to. Now you're surprising everyone. Like you just said, Metcalf, and we've said this on other episodes. Like you're number 1 now on the scouting report. They're figuring out a way to get rid of you. Like they're figuring out how to stop you. He's going to struggle. I want to see how he adjusts, and let's give him a couple of games, give him a couple of weeks. Like let's give these guys some time to see if they can adjust and figure out a way how to stick. And we talked about how tough Oklahoma's schedule is about to be. Like I'm expecting this. I just want to see how he bounces back. What other thoughts you got on this list? Why are so many people surprised that VJ is still a popular name?
Uh, and I have him lower than you do.
Mm-hmm.
The shot hasn't been there. The
But it
scoring has.
has.
Mm,
It's warming up.
well, sure, but
He's
in
shooting
it,
like 40% in his last couple games. Like his
yeah,
last like 5 or something. He's like 40 from downtown, 80 something from the line.
yeah. No,
Dude's
well, now let's
monster.
expand that to 10, 15
100%.
games.
100%. I'm
Um,
just saying it I'm buying the form. I'm buying that it's going to come around. And then even if he's flirting
sure,
mid 30s and up, like, oh, if
yeah,
I
and
told you VJ shoots mid 30s at the NBA level, would you be just like, oh my gosh,
um,
the top 7?
are you like high 30s or
Yeah, high 30s.
like 38% career?
You draft him and year 2, he's 38% from
Oh
downtown.
yeah, no, and I'd be thrilled.
Okay.
Because of that then lends more credence to him being an actual 2. Um, and that's kind of just that's still my bigger concern with him is, and this goes back to last spring when we saw him at Hoop Summit, it's what position is he? And I know positionless basketball and all that kind of stuff, but he's not quite big enough to be a traditional 2 in terms of height. He's uber athletic, great length, really strong. So there's probably a lot of compensation that he can do with those tools, but the dream would be to be able to play him at the 1, but you can't because the handle's not good enough. The passing's not consistent enough. I think he's a good connective passer, but in terms of like a primary creator, the left hand is really rough with the handle, especially when he gets downhill and into traffic. So those are kind of my bigger concerns. I think he'll be fine as a shooter. We saw it in the Olympics with the Bahamas. We saw it at Hoop Summit. We saw it in the summer camps. We saw it in high school. Like I think the shooting will be fine. Lights out, maybe not fine. Yeah, I'd bet on it. Plus the defensive tools, plus the physical tools. There's a lot to really like there. It's just what is the ceiling on his offense and how much growth are we going to see in his offense kind of between now and year 2?
I get it. I'm still going off of like watching that player, watching him in an open gym. Like I saw him this summer, and like I feel like college situations can sometimes make the picture a little blurry for us, where we get too fascinated about how this player looks in this system when it's more of like, hey, you got to. That's why you have to watch the pre stuff leading into this to see like, hey, in a different situation, in a different environment, what were they like? Were they more loose and open? And the NBA game seems like it would be a dangerous, fun world for him with he having like more spacing, more freedom to because he loves crashing the offensive glass. He loves those
Yeah.
tip dunks. He loves hustle plays. He's a demon on defense. He is a high motor, like spitting venom type of player that every team wants. And I think those guys find ways to be even more valuable because of the little stuff and the cleaning up the garbage, if you want to put it that way. But if the shot does come around, then you're like, oh gosh, this does everything almost, So we'll see.
But
I'm just not
I think
surprised.
sorry to cut you off, but
No, go
like
ahead.
I think another kind of important aspect of his game to look at right now this year is look at who he's playing next to in the backcourt. And they're kind of all score first guys. Whereas, sorry to keep going back to Hoop Summit. Um, but when we saw him play next to Traore and play next to Yakushonis as more of that off ball scorer, and when we saw him playing in the Olympics as more of that 2 guard, it was like, oh shit, there's some real stuff here. Now the offensive role is simplified. He doesn't have to worry about as much initiating everything on offense. He can be more of a play finisher, more of a cutter, offensive rebounder, spot up shooter, and then maximize those defensive tools for every second he's out on the court. So I think context matters. How he's being kind of utilized has really kind of shaped a lot of that. Um, anything else with
Who
BJ?
no, who are your other picks? Who is 9 and 10 for you? I know who 10 is.
So
Who is 9 for you?
I had Asa at 7 to Portland, Queen at 8 to the Thunder, Trey Johnson at 9 to the Rockets, and then Sorber at 10 to the Bulls.
Trey still is a very fun. We had him on the no ceiling site to the Rockets. I still
I
like
think
that
so.
fit. It's a good
Yeah.
one. I like to do this time of the year. I'm just like, give me a different name because I know who. Like Trey seems like I'm gonna keep projecting him there because I love that fit. He's at 7 is I actually looked at today and I was like, oh.
I think a long-term front court of him and Klingon, that's fun.
We had a mini war in the war room about Asa. Made a lot of anger. Yeah, Klingon and him. Fuck, that'd be nice together. I need them to trade some shit. They need to
Like
do
a
some
lot.
things. I'd like viciously, like I would be like 2K mode, like find a trade for Portland at the deadline. Like they just need to just clear up some stuff, get a path. They got a good path. They just need to like kind of narrow it down. Yeah, I like that fit a lot. Ace is good there. I just don't know. Like McNeely, I thought about there. And then I'm like, are we going to do this? Like, we keep saying McNeely there. Asa just seems like a really good fit with Klingon potentially. Some big size. Any other names you like there?
And then you have Tumani at the 3. And defensively, those 3 out there, they might not score ever. But that's what Shaden Sharp and Anthony Simons or Scoot Henderson or, whoever at the 1 and 2 are for. But
well, and I think Asa's got a little bit more
fits what they've been going for.
Yeah.
In these recent years. And so
he's got a little bit more playmaking chops than
he's a really good connective passer. Even like if you go back and look at his Montverde stuff, there are a lot of sets that they ran to like free up McNeely and Flag, and even Queen, where he was kind of the focal point of it. Initially, like finding cutters and guys running off flare screens and stuff, especially from the elbow and the top of the key. So
I came away impressed. That would be a very fun high-low there. I mean, they've got Denny under contract at Lily for a while. Shaden, Scoot, whatever they're going to do with Ant. The team's not far. Now, I know people might laugh hearing that. They're not far. There's a rebuild process, and part of that rebuild is like when you're not like, hey, we're not getting out of the lottery, but like you're actually like, you can watch games and like, you battle, you're fighting. Like beginning of the year, I was like, they're going toe to toe with people. It's just now you got to learn how to like close those games. Like, they've got a lot of fun stuff going, but they need to now kind of position those pieces. So, Sorber at 10.
Yeah.
I almost took him in my lottery, but wow. Talk to me, talk to the world.
Okay, so
let's hear why.
I went through a ton of names here. I didn't really know where to go. I
was like, pick one out of a hat. And I was at the Bulls. So I was like, pick one out of a hat. I don't like my Jaeger pick now because I was like, oh, well, they have Giddey. But like,
I thought about Seraph there. I thought about VJ there. And it's like, man, like those guys don't like, how do they change the long-term kind of outlook or the roster construction of this team? And I just, it didn't do much for me. Even guys like Liam and Khan, and I even thought about like Rasher Fleming there.
I thought about Murray Boyles there, and then I said, "There's 10 guys here that they take, and they take these guys every single year in the draft." And I was like, "I'm tired of doing this." I thought Seraph there makes actually like some good sneaky.
I think if you really buy his shot,
yes,
it does.
But
you can't play him and Giddey together.
No. So that trade even looks better. But then I'm with you. Like, are you overdrafting now?
But look at their centers, and it's Adama Sanogo and Nikola Vucevic.
And is Vucic finally expiring? Or they just gave him another like?
He might have like 1 year left. He's close to expiring, but I mean, he's constantly in trade rumors and allegedly getting shopped and allegedly wants out. He's not the long-term center there. So what's their plan there? And it may be a little rich right now, but Sorber's production is through the freaking roof. I like the passing. I like the ball skills. I like the mid-range jumper. I think eventually he'll shoot it from outside to some extent, not prolific, but an occasional pick and pop. And then the defense keeps getting better by the game. For some reason, he's deciding to turn it over a billion times a game these last couple weeks. Don't love that, but really skilled scorer. I like the motor kind of continuing to improve. The rebounding, the shot blocking metrics, they're all really, really, really good. So I said, fuck it. Why not?
I know who they're going to take.
Ooh, who?
Malawak. I got nothing else.
Right.
It's a tough pick.
It is.
It's really puzzling. That's good. I always find a team or two every year when we're doing this through No Ceilings. I find a team or two, and they get all my attention because I'm like, what route do you go here? And then I feel like you almost fascinate. You're like, as you're a diehard fan, you fascinate because you're just like, well, what are they thinking? Like, you the real way to look at this, to do this, would be like, hey, what's the contract situation? What are we looking for? What's the contracts 2 years down the road? What, free agents, you're looking at everything. But I don't know what Chicago's doing when it comes to that. I think big man would make a lot of sense if it's the right one.
Yeah. So like, I think right now that would be rich for a lot of people, but he's rapidly creeping up into that range for me.
It might sound rich now. The problem is right now in this draft, there's a damn big jump for bigs, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh,
there's a big drop off.
Yes.
Like there's a big one. And I'm not talking about talent level. I'm talking about like upside. Like, you start getting into Broom as like, I get more intrigued with the option of him. And that's not a dig to him. I'm more intrigued of like him over other bigs because I'm at least I know what this guy's going to be. I know what I'm going to get from him. There's a lot of like guys who are just like, I have no idea what this is going to look like. Sorber has been productive. There's serious untapped offense. There's good two-way potential. Like, I get it. So yeah, that might sound rich now, but you're swinging. I get it.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on, but take our first break real quick. Moving on to 11 through 15. At 11, I had the San Antonio Spurs taking Ben Seraph. At 12, the Kings taking VJ Edgecombe. 13, the Warriors going Liam McNeely. 14, the Spurs going Con Knipple. And 15, the Timberwolves going Rasheer Fleming.
I need 12, 13, and 14 really quick. One more time.
The players or the teams?
The players.
VJ, Liam, Con, Fleming.
I went Ben Seraph at 11 to the San Antonio Spurs. I went Asa Newell to the Kings at 12. I went Con to the Warriors at 13. Colin Murray Boyles to the Spurs at 14. And Rasheer Fleming to the Timberwolves at 15. I promise we don't share results. It's scary sometimes. It's scary how similar we think. Yeah, we got some folks in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. We always know this is a hot one, and we'll do a quick run through of our top 15. Some people were saying, "Hey, I just jumped in. What was the first 5 picks?" We'll do a run through in a second. Where do you want to start?
Where do you want to start?
I think Fleming might have been one of my favorite projections, and you did it to the Timberwolves. I looked at him and Neek, and then I said, "Are they just going to try to replace Julius Randle with the 3-point shooting beast?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds like a much better fit."
So I just got done writing about Fleming for NoCeilingsNBA.com. That it will either go up on Friday or Monday, maybe. Keep your eyes out. But regardless, I came away just over the moon with this game.
I love this. Love it when you talk dirty. I think Monday, by the way, because spoiler alert for everyone listening, we have a NBA board coming out tomorrow.
More importantly, Rasheer Fleming. Guess how many off the bounce jumpers he's taken all year?
I need an over/under. No, fine. 8.
Wrong. 0. I love it. I love it so much because it speaks exactly to who he is. He knows his role. He's playing within his role. He knows what he's going to be, what he's best at, what he's improved on and worked on over the summer in these past couple of years. And that's being a really versatile play finisher. If you're drafting him or trying to scout him as a potential point forward or on-ball creator, you're doing it wrong. You're scouting the wrong player for the wrong thing because that's not who he is. But instead, if you're looking for an elite rebounding, defensive playmaking menace who is now shooting over 40% on from 3 on about 8.5 3-point attempts per 100 possessions, has a ton of versatility out of the roll, can pick and pop, can spot up in the corner above the break, can pass out of the short roll, you're going to be thrilled because that's exactly what Fleming is doing. And the fact that he's now shooting opens up opportunities for him to attack closeouts. I think he's really fucking good.
There's something magical about understanding that a player realizes what they are and they don't try to make themselves something they aren't. Now, people will look at Rasheer Fleming and be like, hey, he doesn't have this. He doesn't have this. Fine. He checks very emphatically important boxes that NBA teams are going to drool over. So you can fascinate about what he doesn't do, but what he does, every NBA team wants. They want size, they want toughness, they want rebounding, they want defense, and they want three-point shooting. And Rasheer Fleming said, bet. I'm going to bring all of that to the table. And it doesn't need to be that complicated sometimes. No. When you get to this range, it's simple. We need this.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does it at a good level, he's going to play for 12 years in the NBA. Like that's the type of guy he is. So it won't shock me if he's going this high. I think that's going to be a name we talk to a lot of teams a lot, and we're probably going to get the same damn answer from every one of them. So it's fun. There's people that don't see it, and I'm like, wow.
But
I don't know.
Like
I don't know
the past 2 years, and like the second he stepped on the floor for St. Joseph's, it was like, oh my God, who is this athletic freak? Right. And then, he'd have a couple flashy plays, like, oh, this is going to be fun. And then he would disappear for a month. And, as a sophomore is like, a couple games together and then disappear for a month. And as these flashes, and this is the first time he's doing it consistently every single game. And they've played some high level teams, and he showed up in all of them. Now he gets a little handsy and can foul and stuff. I don't care. Just he's one of those guys where it's like if you're focusing on what he can't do, like you said, you're just totally missing the point with him.
Gonna totally miss it. I saw him in person for the first time. I was like walking up and I was like, who's the center shooting threes? Because I was like, this is a humongous human. Like who's? And I was like, forward. I was like, that's Rasheer Fleming. I was like, my goodness, he's just built like, he's gonna be a bad man on the court. So love it. And it might not click immediately, but he's gonna make an impact. And then all of a sudden, when he starts figuring stuff out at the NBA level, like those are guys that are smart. They're like, I know how to stick. I know how to make an impact. I don't have to be. I'm not this break your ankles type of guy. I'm gonna beat you with toughness. I'm gonna beat you with my simple outside shot. Like. Shout out PJ Tucker. Figured it out. Played pretty long. So what other names you got? Con, I keep struggling with.
Same. I went Spurs just because the shooting and the fact that I already gave them kind of Seraph and provided some playmaking and more of a point guard for the long term. I think the size of him and Castle in the backcourt would be really fun. And then just kind of providing an off-ball shooting outlet with Khan. I'm struggling with him, though, because I need him to start shooting. And I worry about how tough every bucket kind of seems to look for him.
Yeah, Khan is trending towards a guy that if I got him late teens in the 20s, I'd probably be pretty pumped. Because I'm like, oh, this could turn out to be a nice connecting piece that works. If I'd taken him in the lottery, I'm probably like,
he feels like a big landing spot guy where it's like, if he goes to the right place, he's going to make a lot of teams look really stupid for passing on him. And if he goes to the wrong place, he could make a lot of teams or make one team look really dumb for taking him that high.
I feel like it was was Corey Kispert the Moses Moody draft? I think
God, I'm so bad at draft
off the top of my head. Anyways, I felt that way watching Corey Kispert. I was like, oh, I like you, but if you land with like the right team, and I was watching the draft, I was like, oh man, I think that was the one where he went right after, or the Warriors, I think, weren't expecting Moody to be on the clock, and then I think the Wiz took Kispert after. Anyways, I feel that way about Khan. I'm like, hey, maybe OKC, maybe the Spurs, but then you're just like, I don't know. Like I went Murray Boyles for their second Spurs pick, because I'm just like, man, Murray Boyles could go to a lot of places. I don't really know. Like the Bulls are going to take him. I already know it. It's just poetic, but I don't know. It's a tough one. Who'd you go for the Kings? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I went VJ for the Kings.
Oh gosh, VJ and Devin Carter would actually
that was
like
my arrested process.
They'd get arrested for like defensive brutality.
That was my exact thought process. And then, regardless of what happens with Fox or Monk or Sabonis, if all of those guys stay there, I think VJ can play off them effortlessly. If only one or two, kind of same thought process. But it was really the defensive pairing of him and Carter. I was like, oh boy, that would be fun.
We get those two together. Just clean house and bring back the retro, thick, awesome, like 2000 Kings jerseys. Those were fantastic. Still one of the more underrated jerseys ever. Then just remake the Bad Boy Pistons, but just the Kings. Another, like the dark side version of the beam. Oh, come on, Kings, hire us, marketing team, right there. Any other names? Any other? I like Seraph a lot, Metcalf, and I'm like, am I being too cool on him? I feel like Seraph might need to be talked in the top 10 more, and we don't do it enough.
Yeah, that's where I have him.
The right hand bothers me right now, but it's like
because it's not there.
Yeah, but it's also like I watch him and then I'm like, well, it's just people just not making him, because every time I put his film back on, I'm like, just rocks.
Yeah,
I love watching him play, and
he's one of the most creative guys in the class. And if the shot comes around to like league average, it's tough, because I like most of the defensive stuff too. A little inconsistent, but the defensive playmaking has been good.
Is Yegor or Seraph close or not, in your opinion? Not on your big board. I'm talking about your film watching. Like, do you think it should be actually a conversation?
No, I have them back to back. At 7 and 8, I have Yegor one spot higher.
That's what's puzzling me right now. But I'm also, one's going to be probably 4 inches taller,
which is why he's one spot higher.
Yeah. Anyways, anything else you want to do?
I think with the Warriors, we both had the same thought process and stylistic type of player. But you had Liam go earlier. So anyone else you thought of
if they don't go that route, the Warriors, like, what the heck do they do? Now, at No Ceilings, we projected Sorber, but at that time they were picking 19th, and I loved that pick. But
I like that pick a lot too. I think a Richard Fleming makes some sense there.
I thought Fleming there. I actually like stared at Fleming there, and I was like, 13 Rucker, like, ooh,
like
take this back.
Real dark horse. This 13, just for the record, 13 would be way too rich.
I love when you start this off.
But Danny Wolf would be fun in Golden
State. God.
Again, not at 13. Not at 13.
No, that's a smart team trades back up to get them. But I hear what you're saying.
But just style wise, it would be fun. And
my problem is I don't know what direction they're going. I don't know if they're trying to put more gasoline on the fire to just get one more run with Steph. I think you have to until he hangs it up. Because I was like, even looking at, I was like, Bear on Phylon makes sense here. It's just like your long term. And then I was like, it just it's tough.
Yeah.
Good,
All right. Before we move on, let's recap our top 15s.
Okay. Here
For
we go.
everyone tuning in live and just refreshing the listeners. So at 1 to the Wizards, I had Cooper Flagg. 2 to the Pelicans, I had Dylan Harper. 3 to the Raptors, I had Ace Bailey. We shared the exact same top 3. And at 4, we both had Kaspers Yakashonis. At 5 to the Jazz, I had Yegor Demin. Rucker went with Trey Johnson. 6 to the Nets, we both had Jeremiah Fears. 7 to the Blazers, I had Asen Newell. Rucker went VJ Edgecombe. 8 to the Thunder, we both went Derek Queen. 9 to the Rockets, I went Trey Johnson. Rucker went Liam McNeely. 9 to the Rockets, I had Trey Johnson. Rucker went Liam McNeely. I just said that. Sorry. I'm sick. Flu game. 10 to the Bulls, I went Thomas Sorber. Rucker went Yegor Demin. 11 to the Spurs, we both went Ben Seraph. 12 to the Kings, I went VJ Edgecombe. Rucker went Asen Newell. 13 to the Warriors, I went McNeely. Rucker went Knipple. 14 to the Spurs, I went Knipple. Rucker went Murray Boyles. And at 15, we both went Rasher Fleming.
If any Spurs or Bulls fans get mad, I'll just say, hey, let's just switch Seraph and Yegor. There you go. You guys can be calm. Gosh, the Bulls pick just pisses me off.
Are they this year's Hawks?
Yeah. Well, I just don't know. I don't know what direction you go. Like, I like the Sorber creativity. They're probably going to take Khan.
Oh.
Like, oh, gosh.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Moving on to 16 through 20. At 16 to the Thunder, I went Nick Clifford. 17 to the Pacers, I went Boogie Fland. 18 to the Jazz, I went Cam Jones. 19 to the Thunder, I went LeBaron Philon. And 20 to the Nets, I went Carter Bryant.
16 to the Thunder, I went Nick Clifford. 17 to the Pacers, I went a little crazy here. I went Thomas Sorber. 18 to the Jazz, I went Noah Essengay. 19 to the Thunder, LeBaron Philon. And 20 to the Nets, Kamen Malawach.
Where do you want to start?
It's getting kind of annoying how we just have similar taste. I don't know what Indiana does. They're kind of getting into a point of being puzzling.
Yeah. I like the Sorber fit there.
I'm just swinging there for probably like, hey, Miles Turner's been great, but
yeah. I thought about Malawach there.
Yeah, well, after I did that 5, I probably said this one could probably switch and go here. I guess that makes some sense. He's just so puzzling to me. I can't do it. What other picks did you like? Where did you struggle?
It's kind of funny that for both these Thunder picks, we had the exact same guy. What was your thought process on Clifford and then Philon?
Neek rocks.
Yeah,
if people cool down on him again, I'm gonna lose my mind.
He's very good.
Rebounds. He's an absolute gamer. He's such a smart player in the court. And I think the shot is gonna be fine.
Yeah, he's cooled off these last couple of weeks. But he's also now the guy.
He's the guy. They're saying take us to the promised land, and he's doing everything in his possible power. Like, he's had some monster box scores. So I think the Thunder would jump all over him, especially with, they might think they could get him at 19. Completely fine. But I also think when you're a team like that, if you're using all those picks, most importantly,
which it was kind of the biggest struggle of this exercise with the Jazz, Nets, and Thunder having half of the first round.
Yes, 50% of the picks belong to those 3 teams. So I'm a big believer, go get your guys. If how your board comes out, if you absolutely love Neek and you don't want to risk 19, wait until you just go get him. I mean, did you feel the same? I just feel like that's just a fantastic fit.
Yeah, because I don't know how much I didn't comb through their cap sheet, but I don't know how long they're going to kind of be able to keep retaining guys like an Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe and Kenrick Williams and all these, those toolsy, versatile, do the dirty work wings that their roster is loaded with, because they have their stars on the cheap right now. So eventually those guys are going to have to get moved or traded, or they're just going to sign elsewhere because they can't afford them. Shout out the second apron. Don't know why that CBA was agreed to. But I think Neek fits the bill for so much of that, where we've seen the defense and the athleticism have been on display for years. And now we're seeing consistently his ability to attack closeouts and create for others. His passing vision and effectiveness and versatility this year is off the charts. We saw sprinklings of it towards the end of last year, and especially in that Virginia game in the tournament. But this year, it's every single night where he's collapsing the defense and creating for others and pushing in transition and doing all that kind of connective passing stuff that the Thunder demand every single guy in their rotation do. So I think he's an easy fit. And then just with Phylon, long-term upside play. Love his game. Love the ability to get downhill. And then you have one of the best shooting coaches in the history of the league. So
this new CBA, like, I know a lot of people are always going to be like with the Thunder, like, okay, you got to trade the picks in. You got to keep doing what you're doing. And also you can't just start being like, hey, we're going to hunt salary.
Yeah.
You have to, in a way, be trying to replace guys you can't keep financially with cheaper options. I think Aaron Wiggins is a great one you bring up. Like, guys like that, eventually you're going to be like, we can't keep everyone. We have to let someone go. So you might have to be like, we're going to have to try to replace him. Shout out Moneyball. Like, okay, well, we don't want to lose Wiggins. We might have to get Neek Clifford in here to try to see if we could kind of replace him as a cheaper option. Phylon, I just saw that and I said, to heck with what you're doing. You just got to, at that point, you're taking upside, potential, talent. I don't care if they've drafted all these guards. I do care that AJ Mitchell looks awesome because I love them, but you just keep taking talent. And I know the Thunder are the best at that. It's just saying, like, we'll figure it out. Just get us talented players that fit the locker room. We'll just take them. We'll find a place for them. So, I mean, you're out of town in a hurry. Like AJ Mitchell, Cason Wallace. We saw Trey Mann kind of ran into that problem, got traded to the Hornets, and all of a sudden he's kind of revived his career. It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team. Every team wants to have that problem because you're just like, our roster's fantastic, top to bottom. It's great, but eventually you gotta face the music. What else you got?
With the Jazz, I went Cam Jones, just kind of similar thought process, adding more of that pure point guard who can play off ball a little bit, add a little more shooting, and then just kind of another adult in the room. Thought about taking a flyer there, went that route instead. And then Nets, I'm just full on home run swing mode. I think Arizona's better every time Carter Bryant's on the floor than when he's off, and yet he keeps getting 15 minutes a game. But long term, I think if I were the Nets and came away with Jeremiah Fears and Carter Bryant, I would be very excited to be in the running for AJ DeBonsta with the number 1 pick, or Cam Boozer with the number 2 pick in the 2026 draft, and then be really fucking good in 2029.
Probably sooner than that. I mean, I want to talk about Carter Bryant. I have to go nuts about this. I went Fears and Malawach to 20. I felt the same way at 20. I was like, let's just swing, because you have 2 more picks coming up in the first round. They have 4 picks. It's ridiculous. Like, eventually just swing. Like, just swing in a position. So why not? I went Essengay at 18. I still love him. I think Utah, same mindset. You got another pick coming up. Like, just swing. I know it's at the end of the first, but you never know. Let's talk about Carter Bryant. What the hell, man? Every game I'm like, he's 3 for 3 to start the game. They don't play him forever. He's best player on the roster. All due respect to the vets on the team. I love KJ Lewis. I love a lot of their guys, but like, he's their best player. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if Tommy Lloyd's trying to keep him for a second year and get Koa Pete
It
to
kind of feels, which is really dirty work.
which is really dirty work. It feels like they're trying to keep him. They get Bryce James for all the NIL. They're going to try to get Koa Pete, Arenas, whatever all these rumors are, and make a talent run. It's like, that's dirty. Also, I think you can't, because I think NBA teams are not that dumb. They still love Carter Bryant. If he declared, I'd be thinking earlier. Even with, it'd probably be one of the first, if I was in the front office, it'd be one of the first players I wanted to come in for like a private workout. Because that one might be a little like, thanks, Tommy. We're going to get him at 18 now instead. Like, instead of if you played him a ton, he might have been going lottery. Dude just rocks.
Fine, like if the Thunder took him at 16, wouldn't be shocking.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Spurs took him in the lottery. Wouldn't be shocking.
I'm an Arizona fan. I'm not being biased about this. I just have watched the games. He looks better in areas than I expected. We've talked about him all the time. We saw him 2 years ago at Hoop Summit. The dude looked like he was a twig.
Yeah.
And in a year and a half, we saw him again, and we were like, what the hell did he do last year? Like, he was just woof, and then he again filled out. So tells you a lot. We saw in person his work ethic. We've heard what type of kid he is, and then you see it on the court. Like, there was a point this year where I thought he was too unselfish. Like, he was making such good plays because I think in his mind, he's like, I just want to be on the court. I just want to get more minutes. And the defensive flashes have been good. Their on-off with him on the court is ridiculous how much better it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it, Metcalf. It drives me crazy. I took him at 21.
I'm just looking at a few numbers here. Block rate of 3.9, steal rate of 3.9, 77% on twos, solid rebounder, effective field goal rate over 60, BPM of 9.1, minute share below 40%. So if you're, trying to do queries on Bartorvik and you're like, God, he doesn't pop up in anything, go over to the left-hand panel and change that automatic setting that's at minute share at 40%. Got to lower that. Usage rate of a big ol' 15.8. Love that too. So, just really, really maximizing guys' skills out there.
I just don't get it, man. It seems like it's some dirty work, and I just don't like it. If it is, just some dirty business. It feels that way. It feels like
because you cannot watch an Arizona game and be like, he's like one of the best kids out here. Why is he? He gets a touch foul in the first half. It's like, and he gets yanked immediately. It's like, what are we doing? Like, there's tough coaching and teaching a kid a lesson.
And then there's ridiculous.
And then there's not.
It seems a very vet promise thing. I can't stand it. We'll see. This is also the classic, like, tournament time. They somehow, like, Arizona's kind of bouncing back. If they go on a little run here, make the tournament, and he starts playing more, then
they just had a win over Cincinnati, right?
They've been cooking. Yeah, they've had a couple of big games. So I think they beat West Virginia and Cincinnati.
Yes.
And they were both ranked. So they're heating up again, but we got a long way to go. You dug yourself a big hole. We'll see. All right. Enough about that. Go ahead. Go with your picks. Go ahead.
No, that's all I got on this range. Let's take our last break, and then we'll wrap up the first round. Moving on to 21 through 25. The Atlanta Hawks at 21. Got a little spicy again. I went Danny Wolf. 22 to the Mavericks. I went Miles Bird. 23 to the Magic. Alex Caravan. 24 to the Magic. Kaman Malawach. 25 to the Grizzlies. Hugo Gonzalez.
Oh, come on. Why are every round? Okay. 21 to the Hawks. I went Carter Bryant. 22 to the Mavs. I went Boogie Fland. Kind of struggled with that one. And then I was like,
he's falling a little bit.
I know. 23 to the Magic. I went Cam Jones. 24 to the Magic. I went Alex Caravan, Orlando. And 25, I went Hugo Gonzalez too. You son of a gun. What were you thinking? Are we going to get you now in the war room just nominating Danny Wolf every 3 picks? Like starting at 5? There's always that one guy.
No. I thought just like the two-man game potential with him and Trey would be incredibly fun. Um, and then I don't know. I have no clue what they're doing elsewise at center. They seem to not be over the moon with Okongwu. I feel like Clint Capella's been rumored to be moved out for every month since he signed his contract. Um, so at the very least, backup center depth, kind of expanding the offense, more of a 5-out system to really open up driving lanes for Risa Shea and Dyson and Trey and Jalen Johnson, provide a bit of shooting, some extra playmaking. I don't know. I just thought he would be really fun there. And I didn't. The idea of just kind of giving them another toolsy wing didn't do much for me. So
I think he's got the most to gain right now because after Malawach and Sorber, you're kind of looking like who's the next big. Now, there's going to be a lot of Auburn fans pretty passionate about stuff, but I think NBA team fit-wise, teams might be talking themselves into Danny Wolf being more productive quicker than, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, maybe not the highest upside, but there might be a little bit of a higher upside. Like,
I've talked to a handful of NBA execs who are like, man, this Danny Wolf kid is fun. Like, he's good. Like, he's got some shit to his game. I was like, yeah.
That's how it starts.
And it's like, man, I got to go see him in person. Like, when they, like, bring up a guy out of nowhere, and it's like, man, I got to go see him in person. It's like, okay, here we go.
In-person scouting is probably the biggest part of the NBA. A lot of people don't realize this. There's like 3 levels of scouting. NBA love to go in person. I think he's gonna. When those comments start coming in, people don't realize like that's when the buzz starts circling, and then all of a sudden it becomes a forest fire of like chaos of just like we're really cooking now. So like, and then all of a sudden they go watch him and he drops 23, 10, and 8 assists, and they're like, what the like? It's just. I wouldn't be shocked if he keeps buzzing because that's where that drop-off is going to happen. So he's got a lot of momentum to gain with his skill set, and it's perfect for the modern NBA. So,
and I really thought about Malawach there as well. It felt like I want to mix it up a little bit, and it felt a little too much of the same and kind of what they already have.
Wait, who's is Malawach boys with who is he? He's boys with someone GM of someone. Gosh dang it.
No clue.
Corver? No. Who is it? There was a video going around and everyone's like, oh, look.
Oh.
They're close. It might have been Kyle. I don't know. Anyways, go ahead. Someone help me in the comments. Help me in the comments. I'm not crazy.
Gosh. Ugo to Memphis. I was looking at their roster and it's like, man, they have a lot of dudes.
Raptors GM. Thank you. Thank you in the comments.
Raptors. Long-term stash play. Magic. I don't know what their long-term, like Goga's been really good for them. Wendell Carter's been really good for them. Mo Wagner has been really good for them, but just some additional size, rim protection. I don't know.
Wait, you had him at Ugo to Memphis, right?
Yeah.
I'm calling him Hugo. I don't care if people tell me it's wrong. I still think he could go top 20.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna be like, "What the heck, dude?"
Like I thought about him.
Play.
I thought about him at like 19 to the Thunder as a stash because they can't roster 3 or 4 guys.
Where would he be if he played in college this year? Like range, would he be in the lottery right now?
Probably in like that 12 to 20, like late lottery to just outside. It would depend where he went because.
Well, if he went to Arizona, he wouldn't play.
Well, yeah, he'd be redshirting.
Come on, Tommy. I'm a big Tommy guy. No, I hear what you're saying. It makes sense. It also is a Memphis pick of like, you're not getting past us. Like, we'll double down here. It's probably the biggest upside. Like, if you could stash, amazing. Like, it's probably flirting with that fence of like, you're probably not going to be able to stash, but if you do, this is the very fun one to stash for a year.
And even if you don't with him, you don't have to play him.
No, just
get
have him here, develop him. Get him with your staff. I get it. Magic, I'm still puzzled about what they're gonna do because I just
Yeah,
love their
I like
team.
that Cam Jones fit there though.
Yeah,
That
thank
one's
you.
fun.
I
Um,
was well,
Caravan, it felt like the most kind of obvious fit landing spot in this range. I'm not over the moon about him, but
what do they need?
he's
Wings?
fine.
I mean, they got
Shooting
Tristan da
still,
Silva. Gosh, could
an
they use Danny?
athletic department. He would be fun there.
I kept wanting to give him a wing, and I was like, I don't know if I love anyone here.
Yeah,
They probably love Carter Bryant, but
probably. I think a lot of teams will.
yeah, for sure. I got nothing else.
All right.
I don't know what to do with Boogie. He's getting a little weird puzzle fit for me.
Yeah, and I went Pacers with him just because I don't know. Long-term backup option. I know they have Nemhard and Shepard, and McConnell still gets a ton of minutes and has been good for him. I don't know. I'm really struggling with Boogie because it feels like he's being asked to do too much on offense, and I'm not loving how Arkansas's offense is kind of operating in general. And I think that really that massive spike in kind of offensive creation and initiation. It's led to some really fun flashes. Like in that Ole Miss game, I loved some of the shots that he was creating, and I thought his handle looked really good. He had like 3 or 4 shots, like just rim out. So those go down. Shooting percentage looks a little better. I thought that was encouraging. I like the passing. The at rim finishing has been a disaster, but it feels like the defensive impact has kind of taken small steps back each game as the offensive responsibilities continue to rapidly rise.
Yeah, I need to watch that. It's something that really does scare you when that starts happening. You're like, oh man, you're getting a little too much on the plate, or I'll ask you this: just 11 through 20, I kept looking at teams. Was there anyone you were kind of even like on the fence for Boogie? Like that's where I got, like if you don't, it could get dicey. And the trades are going to happen. Not everyone that has 3 picks right now is going to keep all those picks because,
and like,
be serious, you're going to try to sell you have a golden ticket, you're going to try to sell it to someone. Like, give us an asset. Like, we'll get rid of one of these.
And like the Spurs a little bit, but like Serif gets me more excited there. I'm not sure how Boogie, how long it takes for him to kind of overtake Trey Jones in the rotation too. Timberwolves, no. Thunder, not really.
Yeah, that's
Utah,
where I got to.
maybe. And then, like with the Nets at 20, I went Jeremiah Fears, and I would not be thrilled about walking away with both Fears and Boogie. So
I got to that point too. I think Orlando, maybe if you're smart, you could try to go up and get him if he's fallen, just to be like a backup. But I was also like, I don't love that idea. Memphis, maybe. I don't know. It gets a little like, I don't. Eventually,
because I, in the grand scheme of things, I still like him.
It's just fit.
Yeah,
it's tough. Fit. It's a tough.
I feel like he's playing a role right now that is not conducive to what he's best at, or really emblematic of where he'll probably be or how he'll probably be used in the league either. So he's a really, really tough one for me right now.
Yeah, because I think he can absolute play, and I still love him. Just kind of curious of like the fit. It's just going to be it. And now I'm realizing like the fit might be more puzzling than what I thought. And it only takes one team. All right, I'm good unless you got anyone else.
No. All right. Moving on to 26 through 30. Wrap this up. At 26 to the Nets, I went Colin Murray Boyles. 27 to the Nets, I went Noah Senge. 28 to the Celtics, I really struggled with this one, but I went Nolan Traore. 29 to the Clippers, I went Ian Jackson. And 30 to the Jazz, I went Adu Thiero.
Didn't like that stretch. 26 to the Nets, I went Dink Pate. 27 to the Nets, I also, I went Drake Powell. 28 to the Boston Celtics. I did not struggle with this one. I took Danny Wolf. 29 to the Clippers. Ian Jackson, and 30 to the Jazz. I went swinging a little. I took Jace Richardson.
Okay. Talk to me.
How dare you put Trey Orr?
I felt like I had to get him in my.
It's tough. I'm being harsh on him, but I'm just sort of kind of getting to that point. And then usually when I get to that point, I give you one last hurrah of like, okay, let's reset, see if I really feel the same after. So we're getting to that point right now. And then I'm just gonna be out.
We're getting there.
No, and I'll do some digging around and be like, hey, what am I? Because I don't like to be like that. I'm like, hey, I need to find someone that's selling me.
Yeah. Yes.
I love the fans, but usually that involves phone calls to people.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, just at that spot to the Celtics, I also thought about Janiyah Broome. I really like the Danny Wolf fit, but he was already off the board for me.
Broome makes a lot of sense there too.
He would be really intriguing and was one of the guys that just didn't quite sneak in for me, but it wouldn't shock me if he's somewhere in this range.
I think there's 95% chance that the Celtics don't pick here. I think they're trading out. I think last year from what I was told on the line was very specific of a couple names are here, we'll stay. If not, we're gone. That's the beauty of the draft. Murray Boyle's at 26. Like, did you forget about him? Because that does happen. Okay.
No.
Talk to me.
I
might be joining you on that island.
He was really bad against Alabama, and I promise this isn't a one-game thing, but it's kind of been a compounding thing. And I like the defense. I like the passing flashes. I like the rebounding. The offense is just kind of stagnated, where he's struggling to create his own shot around the rim. There's really no signs of him even being a willing shooter. Like, I would rather have him shoot 10% from three, but take 4 a game than not even look at the rim once he's an inch past the free throw line. And the fact that he's kind of just, I don't know, it just gained a really, really bad and disappointing taste every time I watch him. Which sucks because I had him at 12 last year before he returned.
It is going to be, I texted you, I've been doing all those highlight videos, and now that we've gotten through this week, I can start doing them again tonight. His offense was probably my least enjoyable, or at least, least enjoyable watch of a lot of the big names I've gotten to. And after I finished it, kind of got to a point where I was like, this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
No.
In the NBA. Like, this is going to be very fit dependent. And I don't think the shot's bad. It's a lot of
well, you can't tell because he never.
It's a Ryan Dunn. He won't shoot it. And when he shoots it, I'm like, shoot it more. I'm with you. I'd rather him shoot 20% with more attempts to be like, okay,
he's taken 13 attempts from 3 all year.
I agree. It's puzzling. I like the defense. I don't love. He looks like a center in a small forward's body. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't. I think he's going to be 6'7".
Yeah.
Fantastic defensive instincts. I love that part of his game. It's awesome. OKC's probably dreaming that he's on the board and they could snag him with one of their picks because of his rebounding, his motor around the basket. He's tenacious that way. The offense, unless he's driving the ball around the basket, I don't know. Now let me get on positive island real quick. Metcalf. Playmaking is a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, he's way better. A really good passer.
Well, it's just way better than I thought. So I was like, okay, I get this, but who's drafting you to be a post-up guy making reads. So,
and so like stylistically, like I think him with the Warriors is intriguing. Is kind of a Looney replacement,
Draymond replacement,
but
I
is he
guess.
really kind of changing things for you in terms of like your title odds? I don't
No,
think
you're
so.
just
And the second
yeah.
that Steph retires, has he magically learned how to shoot? I don't know. It's
I
really tough.
I almost took him at 13. I said they wouldn't pass this up, and then I thought the same thing as you. I said, well, when Steph's gone, does he become less valuable?
Yeah, like
You would probably be like, no, and then it's like, well, just think of it like this. If I put Murray Boyles on the Warriors next year, he's probably a great piece because
yeah,
you have the scoring gravity around him that he can just focus on being. That's like, and then no
you could
disrespect to
basically
Draymond,
be Kevon Looney. And Kevon
no,
Looney's like
yes,
6'8", 6'9". Yeah, exactly. Not trying to minimize
no.
how
Those guys are
impactful.
fantastic, but that's what awesome GMs and roster builders do. Is they see what they have, and then they, Draymond figured out how to be so good for that team and be a Hall of Famer. Like I don't know if you don't have the other pieces around if Draymond was that outstanding right out of the gate, but
Yeah.
it was a perfect fit. I don't know if Murray Boyles is a perfect fit when Steph's gone or when the shooting's gone. Now you can replace those, but you know what I'm saying? So like it's a tough one because you have to have the right fit.
Like I agree that I think OKC is close to that.
You could argue it isn't though, because they have a lot of ISO guys, driving guys.
Yeah.
It's they need the rebounding, but it's like, I don't know. It's a tough one.
I really, really struggled with him. And this is a year after being head over heels for him. And it just feels like a lot of the same. And when guys return and it's a lot of the same, it's just kind of a bummer.
I mean, I put him to the Spurs, and I was like, I don't love this because it's just kind of like, well, I got Sohan, so you just kind of keep looking. You're like, okay, well, where's the surplus? Hey, maybe he goes to pre-draft workouts. His teams are looking at him shooting. I'm like, why the hell didn't he shoot last year?
Yeah.
And I will back that up. He doesn't shoot it sometimes, but he also is like bullying people to just get to the hoop and shoot layups. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand if you're just overpowering everyone, but eventually, like, hey, you're 5 feet.
Like that's
open.
gonna
Shoot
last through this year.
Yes. And then what?
October next year, assuming he doesn't go back to school. It's not happening.
Yeah. That's where I get to my point. I'm like, hey, you can only do this for so long. You gotta shoot a little bit. Like you gotta at least pull it. So I didn't want to spend that much time, but that was interesting. I love that you went out there. Anything else?
Found it kind of funny that we both went Ian Jackson for the Clippers.
I also found it funny that I was like, one, I don't know if they do this. Two, actually, this would be a Clippers pick. Three, fine, let's do it.
They kind of go blue blood guys and are patient with them. Check.
Yeah, I think that like blue
Jackson's
blood
been on a heater recently. Be cool if he passed it, but when you're dropping 20 plus a game, why bother? He needs some time. He's raw, but I love how much he's improved year over year these past couple of years, and I think there's some really fun stuff to his game.
I don't think he will. If he keeps playing like this, he's not going to be on the board. He'll be going earlier. Who said it? Someone said they thought he was small, and I was like,
I never got that sense. I think he's listed like what, 6'4"?
Yeah, and I saw him in person, and I felt he was 6'4". He feels 6'4".
He's got a good frame.
Yeah,
good athlete.
I think he's gonna be really good. He keeps shooting it like that. Don't need it back. No, he's just a bucket. Like I understand people are fast on the passing. I think he can pass, but I also think he's just a bucket right now, and they need offense. And I could for sure see him getting into that top 25. He keeps playing like this, and then you never know. You never know how much higher he can get. So, yeah, it was a fun one.
That's all.
We got to do this more often. Not all the time, but more often because it is fun.
We'll do a couple of these probably.
Yeah.
2 more, one maybe around March Madness, and then one more a little before the draft.
Yeah.
They're a great exercise. But we went a little long on this one. They're a blast as always. Shout out to everyone in the chat. You guys are a blast. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Shout out to everyone listening. If you prefer watching podcasts, head over to No Ceilings on YouTube. All of our podcasts go up there as well, along with a ton of other videos. I have a bunch of film school breakdowns up over there. Most recently, I did Ace Bailey's 39-point game, which he so graciously followed up with like a 2 for 16 shooting game. Incredible timing. Rucker's been hammering out a ton of the midseason highlight videos. More to come. Those are awesome. Great way to catch up on guys. If you haven't been able to dive in and watch film, don't worry. We're doing it for you. We got you. No Ceilings over on YouTube. Go check it out. NoCeilingsNBA.com. All of our written stuff, including the team's consensus mock draft, which is nothing like what we just did. It's up over there. I'll have a piece on Rasheer Fleming up. My in-person thoughts on John Mobley. And the rest of Ohio State against Minnesota is up, along with a ton of other incredible work from the team. But he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at TMetcalf11. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. But until next time, see ya.